again on this red side, or will they swap it up? Will they go towards something else? And I feel like is going to give them trouble from LNG. There's the Kai'Sa. Will it also be the Xayah? The Tristana comes through from LNG. But the Vi ban, I'm trying to recall what was the first set of bans again in those first two games. What is it going to leave up? It was the LeBlanc actually on the blue side from LNG. So Xayah's up. I feel like that's not really too big of a deal. LNG Maokai? Yeah. I feel like that's kind of the angle. But again, Xiaohu was having such a good time on the Azir. As Weibo, it should just be relatively straightforward here. It should be that Azir. And hey, with the Xayah left up this time around, maybe you even lock that one in if you're feeling quite happy to just go for it blind. And then that way, diving into Weibo immediately is, you know, a bit of a nightmare, right? You've got to deal with the Emperor's Divide, and you've got to deal with the Feathers. For now, though, okay, they swap back over to the Azir, but if it's hovered this late, it does make me wonder what's being discussed, as Weiwei actually gives us a last-second hot swap over to the Ivern. So, first time it's being locked in here this series. Let's see how it gets down. Ivern Azir wouldn't necessarily be the most, you know, crazy combo that I'm, you know, over the moon about. But the amount of scaling and then, again, you know, the anti-dive that Ivern can bring later on down the line does really set this up to be a core which for Weibo is impossible to kill. So LNG, what I would really like to see is either one or two things. Basically poke, like full poke, stuff that is just going to outrange the side of Weibo, or a full commitment onto dive. This is a bit of a mix of both, I guess.
I was going to say, yeah, they've taken both of your points, God, yes. We want both of them.
You know, Xayah can definitely move forward, but she prefers champions coming into her, right? So it's a little bit awkward. I think the reality of the situation, this is probably a Varus angle, but we'll see where Gala decides to go and how he gets you know, things done on this Xayah pick. And it does also put a little bit of pressure onto Weibo to also remove away now the Rakan and these next sets of bans. I expect it's going to be something like a Nautilus plus that Rakan bans coming out here for Weibo, and whereas for LNG, probably looking at AD carries, flat and simple for light, just to ensure that they can have as easy a time in the laning phase as possible. See exactly how things start to unfold as we wait for the bans to come through.
Here's the thing as well. I was just about to say, you don't want to be letting in the Gwen or even the Jax, to be perfectly honest. You don't want to try and let those things through. So now you're in kind of between a rock and a hard place. Maybe you take away the Rakan yourself, and you want to try and give that over to Chris. We know he's very well versed in that particular kind of setup. But now we're seeing a lot of the AD carries being taken away. The Xayah being left open was kind of one of the things that has been just kind of prioritized so heavily in those first rotations because of the self-peel, because of the safety and the scaling you have with this particular champion. Now Weibo have to find themselves an option. They don't want the Rakan. They want to ban it, which means the Jax is up and available. That could be an option available here to Zika if he wants to try and really punish the Shy on these side lanes.
Yeah, I'm really curious about what Zika's pick's going to be, because he knows it's the Cassante. As obviously Jax is one of his most played. Wouldn't like to see him go over towards the Renekton. I'm hoping LNG have that read that the Renekton is just not the way to go, as Light will catch a Zeri ban. So what's really left up for him? He's got something perhaps like the Jinx very far down. He can technically, if he really wants to, go towards something a little more defensive still, like a Ziggs. But it's going to be Nautilus blind for now. But I don't know how much I like that, because if you're hung, Braum value relatively high here. You can also just go for Leona for, you know, re-engage, and I don't hate that either. I feel like it's really, really solid for the mid game. This would also be a little bit spicy, but I feel like either way, it's pick or it's engage, right? From the support role, you don't really want to lean too much into peel and defensiveness when you're dealing with, you know, basically what should be a very, very hard to crack shell of Azir, Ivern, and probably a very defensive AD carry pick out of Light. As is it just going to be Zeka's Jax? It feels like a bit of a given, right? It's been let through, most played out of his champion pool, and likely most comfortable. We'll see, maybe he cooks up something else, but it feels like a bit of a given. Then it just depends on where Light wants to go in this 2v2 matchup. Does he want to bring out something spicy, or is it going to be something relatively safe here for the Weibo AD carry? Ezreal only got one game on. Obviously, don't forget there's things like the Neela and the Samira, which he's got in his back pocket. Be very fun to maybe pull those out, but does he just want to keep it standard? That's the big question. As the timer continues to tick, it's hovered over this Ezreal for a majority of it. Will it just be that? It will. So a lot of poke damage, but realistically from Weibo, not a lot of damage overall until like 2 items. So LNG really should have, you know, a relatively easy time navigating this early game. It's just predominantly CC on the side of Weibo. That's all you're really looking at for a very, very, very large portion of this early game. So I want to see LNG really push the envelope and looking for active plays across the map, whether it's Tarzan and Hung pairing up together or whether it's just dives onto the top side to enable this Jax to become a monster in the late game. Something has to give, and you have to ensure that you're putting pressure on Weibo as soon as this game kicks off.
Have to put the pressure on Weibo. You cannot let this Ivern just scale into oblivion with the things like the Ezreal and the Zir just constantly putting down damage. Decent options here. I'm looking towards that Jax. I'm looking towards those side lanes. Again, we've seen the the kind of the Shy be a wall or kind of a a crumbling one at that. It's sometimes depending on the series. So this is something that they're going to be able to have a huge amount of emphasis around if they can get it to the kind of that pressure on that side lane. I'm going to have to keep an eye out to see exactly where both these junglers want to try and path themselves around. But for LNG, can't slip up, can't make mistakes. Get that early game like you did in game number 3, but you need to make it turn into better advantages. You cannot be any way complacent coming into this final game, or as we've seen in this series, Weibo will punish you.
Exactly. Weibo, very happy to punish. Wait, this time on the Ivern. Let's see how powerful it can be. It's been near pick banned in many regions at times for certain teams. And it's for good reason, because it can start to become a very oppressive force. But this game, not really a particularly strong lane to play around, right? It's probably just the bottom lane where you've got the Nautilus, but the 2v2 and the 3v3 is one that you realistically should end up losing. So a lot of eyes on Weiwei and how he's going to stabilize this early game, because again, LNG, I anticipate, will try to put down as much pressure as they can. And I expect it will start either through the bottom side of the map or through Zeka having that Jax in his hands for the first time this series.
We wait. Seems to be a little bit of a delay. Shouldn't be too much longer before we get ourselves into game, but transitions are coming in. The wipes are happening. That means we are almost certainly going to be jumping into a potentially last game of this series. Remember, Weibo win, they are in. They will get themselves into double elimination and guarantee themselves at least one extra life going up against JDG. And here's the thing. Weibo's not lost to JDG all year. Spring and summer, they have gotten the better of the MSI champions. So we'll wait to see if they can get themselves a date with Destiny, or if LNG have themselves something to say.
Let's hope they do. Be very fun. Now, very interesting tech you'll sometimes see from Gyos. That's me. Again, I'm going with the theory, Ashin, that the mic is closer to the Weibo mascot, but he is putting his heart and soul.
Oh yeah, I'm not discounting the effort. The effort is top class, but he definitely is closer to the mic.
Absolutely. Hey, Zeka, fishing. I only learned about this recently. I had no idea that Jax had a...
Yeah, I think it was Nymera told me about it. As he's just picking up some more. You just passively pick up gold. Look at it. Yeah, broken. There used to be, you used to have a load of different things. Like if Leona ulted Zyra, her model grew bigger because she's a plant. Trying to think of other ones. Oh yeah, if you have more than one ninja in the game, so like a Kali,
the ninja.
Kennen, yeah, they lose 1 AD because ninjas are supposed to be kind of like by themselves.
Yeah, true. Very fun one. There was the one that caught me off guard, which I always forgot about, but we had Vi and Jinx in the meta for a very long time. But there was like the if you're Vi and you kill off Jinx, I think you get like 1 extra gold for doing it. Or Caitlyn, rather. I think it was that way around.
Oh, Jinx to Caitlyn, and yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I miss the Kha'Zix Rengar minigame you used to get at after things.
So
they took that out. No, it's not. It's not. You can't get it in normals or anything.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a shame. I mean,
no.
Don't bring up Rengar to me. I'm very passionate about that champion. I feel like the rework.
Interesting. I'm a Kha'Zix man myself. Well, used to be. I haven't played him in a while.
They, because this game's gonna be, it's gonna be a bit slow. As oh, by the way, this is Scout's 700th game. So congratulations, Scout. Let's see if you can pull it back for a game 5 turnaround. Definitely want to see a slightly more solid performance continuing out here, but yeah, the Rengar rework really just. I'm talking about the one from into season 6. Really made him just awkward to balance, I feel like, to say the least. And then everything that they did around it kind of was counterintuitive because all of the assassin reworks they had that year, they wanted to make assassins less button smashy. But then they made Rengar passive basically be stacked from jumping out of a bush and pressing all of your abilities once.
So annoying. It's just such
Very
an annoying.
strange.
Yeah, it's just. Well, look. Fortunately for us, Rengar is not in this game, so we can't really talk about it. Scout.
Yeah.
Really not enjoying this right now. Wei coming around. Will be spotted out, so yeah, they'll know he's coming. That was close. That was close. Wei will be able to not take away the camp as he cannot harm them, but he will get a little bit of pressure around this side. And this is a funny thing. Wei kind of been called out on this a couple of times, so Scout's definitely done his homework and knows that the Weibo jungler likes to try and get that little sneaky move around that topside brush.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an attempted mid lane dive occur at that tier 1 early on in this series, would it? So nice to see a little bit of reactive play. Our Scout and Tarzan also just so happened to be pathing in a way where he was there to cover it, so feels good for him. Zucker finding a pretty decent trade here. He's got biscuits, but he's in the wave, so it's a bit awkward. If you can wait for his Q to come back up, could technically keep the trade going. He's stacking his passive. He has grass, but he doesn't really want to overcommit. 3 seconds until counter strike. Again, Shy. That's everything. And Weiwei's right behind him. So if Zeka keeps on trading aggressively like this, maybe Weiwei can punish it.
I feel like that leaf strike's going to stop really anything. I'll say the Shy is taking a fair chunk. Trying to be aggressive onto this. Might even go for the solo himself. Ooh. Don't have many options.
Lone Playing also came up and blocked a lot of that W damage. Yeah. The Shy ate up, so just 4 seconds to go back. Very, very touch and go. Oh, hold on, just so you can secure the wave. Not the end of the world. Both top laners still have TP. Just doesn't want to miss out on the golden experience. So, really good job from the Shy from just kind of stivying that pressure off. As Xiaoyu dashed in, I think, but it's not going to be the end of the world for the trade. In fact, he just wins it outright.
Yep. It does be like that in this first few levels of this matchup. Azir just able to kind of easily farm up those little trades back and forth. We'll say the Scout's doing a fairly decent job of making sure that he's not falling behind. He's actually a little bit ahead in the LCS department. With the bot lane
in the LCS department.
In the LCS department? No, not in the LCS department. He is ahead in the LCS department. It's the
LPL.
Yeah.
What
I feel like that's definitively ahead of the LCS department, personally.
What are you saying, man? You saying Scout's going to have to start learning American, buddy? Is that it? Is that where we're going with this? All right, well, that aside, one of Ivern's core weaknesses, there's kind of two big ones. One, he sucks if he gets invaded a lot, but Maokai isn't necessarily the best invader in the planet. So he's going to be safe there, but early dragons not really something that Ivern is particularly solid at picking up. So until level 6, where we can't really offer too much there, and Tarzan trying to take advantage of that with the priority he's got in both mid and the bottom lane. They'll poke their head in now, though, so they can look for a fight after the fact, perhaps. The Scout wins out on a trade very heavily onto Xiaohu.
That's rough. That is rough, and that's kind of where it is. Like I was saying, is that the first few levels, yes, the Azir gets it, but then once the cooldowns start to come in, once you start to get a little bit more damage in those shock blasts, that's when that trade starts to become less and less about the Azir and more about what you can dodge, because a tier is still stacking. LNG, not speaking of stacking, have gotten themselves the first strike as well. So good start here from LNG, as we expected it to be a much quieter early game, and it's exactly that.
Yeah, exactly. So we kind of, to a point, get to podcast at some point. I do want to basically kind of just set up that for both these teams, in terms of composition, it is sort of waiting for 2 items, right? Light's also gone into that tier. I feel like I've seen more and more Ezreals whenever they show up. Like, I don't always see tier on Ezreal anymore. It's not always like a must-have. Sometimes. It's a little bit touch and go, but...
Yeah, you can go the Essence Reaper build.
Yeah, you can just go like, you know, a lot of items that are a little bit cheaper than the Mirror Mana, etc., etc. So it is going to be a very, very, you know, quiet, tepid game. Tepid, a word I learned from Lunchbox recently.
We like to educate here, you know.
Oh yeah, we do. And for those who don't know what tepid means, it's just like lukewarm. You know, very much a mild, not a lot of action in this particular context when it comes to League of Legends.
Nando's lemon and herb.
Nando's lemon and herb. Yeah.
Not gonna do much. It's not bad. It's not good. Isn't it weird? If someone says something's not bad, it doesn't sound that bad. But if someone says it's not that good, you're just like, oh, it's terrible.
I mean, it's the beauty of the English language. As Xiaohu
Yeah, Hong is dead. Oh, that's unfortunate. He followed the flash, and that meant the Emperor's Divide puts him right underneath the tower. And he is dead to rights. Hong not having the greatest times in that particular exchange, but look, he went for an opportunity, and God loves a trier.
Yeah, that he does. LNG looking for the play because they want to secure the Herald, and even though they lost Hung, they still have the rotation up here, right? And they're very much first to the play. Daisy's available for Weiwei. Could make things a little bit awkward for LNG the longer they leave this one hanging, so they really have to make a decision sooner. Hung on his way. Weibo have the numbers though, it's technically a 5v6. Herald's dropping lower and lower. Poke onto Xiaohu.
Now they're going to go over though, because they've got themselves the Nature's Grasp, which means Crisp returns the favor. It's support for support. There's the True Shot Barrage right across. Everyone is Zika, and the Shy have themselves a little bit of an isolated 1v1. The flash comes in, the all out as well. The feathers do go flying, and they both flash on opposite sides. I think the Shy was trying to guess which way he was going to go, and he guessed wrong. Now Tarzan chasing down Xiaohu, making sure he can have no way of getting any kind of impact into this. And now the Shy realizes, oh, hang on, I don't have any mates left. I am left to my lonesome. I'm not really going to be in a position to try and defend this. And an accelerated shock blast confirms 3 kills to none, and the Rift Herald. Huge swing of advantage here for LNG.
Really good stuff from LNG, and Ashin, I've got to say, that was the most English I think I've heard you say. Sound, rather. My fellow Irishmaners. Yeah, great play from LNG to basically secure everything. Weiwei was making things really awkward in the mix with the Daisy. A lot of knockups in the middle of this fight, but very unfortunately for Weibo, it's not really enough. Well-timed flash from Xiaohu, intentional or not, right? You get hit and bring Hung underneath the tower like that, or you just dodge out on the Zenith Blade altogether. A lot of poke from LNG because Weibo were a little bit indecisive, but then this ultimate turnaround from Tarzan, really solid. Able to pick up Crisp in the chain CC. Herald still being leashed. A lot of poke then is returned by Weibo in kind, but it's not really enough. And then you see the Shy get on top of Gala. Actually uses the ultimate on Zika to be a gap closer, and then has to guess the flash, right? Guesses wrong, unfortunately. It's left or right. He goes right. Gala goes left, and then Weibo ends up being CC'd, and the Herald goes over. So Weibo tried their best to really make the, the best they could out of what was a very awkward way to try and contest this dragon. It doesn't quite work out for them, or the Herald rather, and now Hung is actually the one with the Herald. So that does make me wonder how easy it will be to get the Herald down in the truly desired place for LNG, but maybe the desired place is just Gala.
Zaya going to ban for most of the series. 2 plates go over to Zika there straight away.
Can I run for a moment whilst we have some downtime? Sorry to cut you off, Chin.
Not at all.
I think plates are silly. I think they give too much gold. Well, you know what, actually, I shouldn't say I think they give too much gold. I think the way that the gold is distributed is very strange. And I think that with the way that Demolish works after 5 minutes, sometimes it feels like you get punished for doing, honestly, the correct thing just because the enemy laner has Demolish. And they just get 2 plays like that.
I don't think plates are the problem. I think Demolish is the problem.
True.
No? Demolish is the one that kind of struggles to kind of be balanced.
I will say, I have always kind of, for the last couple of months, I feel like the plates should, like how in Earth, the plates are like weighted towards the end of the tower's life? I feel like you do that, or consider something like that. I feel like it would maybe make things a little bit easier to, anyway, that's
it's like you get 50 gold for the first plate, you get 75 for the, that kind of stuff. Okay. Would make it a little bit less snowballing. Yeah. It's not how it's going to work, though. 2 plates go over to the side of LNG. And then those 2 plates will be given into the back pocket of Tarzan, who is building up towards the AP build with that first strike and the red smite. You would imagine it is going to be Laundry's Torment. Ooh, careful the bullet there, Scout, right to get that damage down. And that's going to be 2 dragons now as well for LNG, as they just kind of slowly keep eking up advantages, constantly keeping Weibo on the back foot.
Yeah, full AP from Tarzan just makes sense. You've got AD across the board in all of your lanes. And not enough, certainly out of Jax, even though he deals a lot more in the early game to really warrant going into tank. And again, if Weibo are second to these objectives, which, given how some of the poke has been laying out for LNG, could be a very consistent thing here, walking into those AP saplings is going to suck for Weibo. So, see if they can continue a snowball, as I believe the HUD at the top is not broken. It's broken. It's not showing that LNG got that second dragon. So do bear that in mind. They did pick that one up.
And the Hex Rift. Love a bit of hex gates to get yourself around the map a little bit quicker. Does mean that those teleports aren't as valuable or as, you know, yeah, I suppose not valuable. So I'm going to say, you know, you can lose it and still get out to whatever side of the map you need to get to relatively swiftly. So you can be a little bit more liberal with that particular cooldown if you so choose. And 2,000 gold lead. LNG found themselves in this position in the last game just gone, and they kind of threw it away. The thing I need LNG to do now is to not get complacent, not just sit down and wait for things to happen. I need them to make sure they're constantly putting wards around this Baron. They're constantly making sure they're not just throwing away a teleport for the sake of it, so they don't just get, you know, Weibo kind of coming back into this game twofold again.
Totally agree with you. Garland was selling a lot of gold there. He just went from recurve bow, double longsword to full Kraken Slayer. So now I want to see LNG take control of the top side of the map, look to pick up the Herald on spawn, force Weibo to either contest it or cross map it, and then try and get as much out of that Herald as possible. 14 minutes, so the plates are going to drop off. No more shenanigans will go on there. I can be as frustrated as I like. Doesn't matter. As there you go. HUD adjusted for you. And I will just indicate that, yes, LNG do have that second dragon of the game in 3 minutes until the Hex will spawn up. So, LNG, Herald should be on the menu. Not too long until the spawn should come through. And Weibo, I think the way you want to try and break this is, yeah, through the mid lane. But if Tarzan just kind of ignores what's going on in the mid lane, sets up the saplings, and then Hung waits off in the wings as well, Garland will happily pick up this wave as it comes into him, pull the feathers back, wave clears, then done. And then Weibo have to be very, very particular about how they go through the vision. Daisy's going to actually eat up that first sapling. As Tarzan didn't need to do that to Daisy.
Yeah.
But
I was gonna say,
if he got the 50 gold, then it's worth.
It's worth it. I mean, he does have Smite coming back up. He had 2 Smite stacks. It's only a 15-second cooldown. The big thing for me is that Xiaohu hasn't finished an item. We're looking at first items across the board, but Xiaohu's kind of half gone towards his Mythic, half gone towards the Nashers, and that means that he's kind of at a little bit of a power trough at the moment, not really kind of equaling out the Duskblade, you know, kind of spike that you're seeing with Scouts. So Daisy, as she died, shall come back almost immediately. That's probably why we saw Weiwei not really giving a damn about whether or not Daisy died. And was surely now moving herself up towards that blue buff as LNG kind of back themselves away. They realize they have to cover this mid lane. They don't want to just give over too much of the pressure. And without kind of full commitment here from either side, we're going to continue this dance.
There's actually a bit of a discrepancy here. Weiwei has already got the upgraded Smite. He's level 10. He's 2 levels up on Tarzan. Maybe Tarzan's close to level 9. Daisy's about to die, but he's got the upgraded Smite. So unless Tarzan is able to get a perfect Q Smite, if they're both on top of the Baron, or the Herald rather, Weiwei should secure it. So let's see if this is something that Weibo are cognizant of and whether or not LNG also play around. Very simple fact.
Finally, Xiaohu going to TP in. There's the Nature's Grass coming out. The Smite comes in a little too early from Weiwei. Definitely thought there would be a little bit more damage, and that means that the Jax is kind of free to go on this one. It's going to cost the Shy Splash to defend this tower, and he's just not going to. They're saying, look, we've lost it. That's just the way it is. We'll have to accept our punishment. That is just going to be, you know, the Rift Herald and the objective bot side.
Yeah, you don't want to lose the tier 1 on the top side, though. Shy is going to go cover that, so that's going to be alright, but Zucker gets a bit of a freebie, and excellent discipline from LNG despite being down the advantage. I think Weiwei tried to auto and smite the Herald at the same time because the eye was turned around to him, and I want to say at the last second it turned back around as Shy. I think he might... Okay, if he got that Q3 off before the knockback, he would definitely have considered taking that 1v1. Won't go for it this time, though. We'll just happily soak up the wave. Wave pressure felt, but not the end of the world. And now, Dragon, less than 60 seconds. Of course, the timer's a little bit off. It's a bit hard for us to gauge. We can see on the minimap, though. Should be spawning, I think, within 30, if I recall how quickly the first 2 were taken. That's going to be priority for both teams. If LNG can secure it, third Dragon. There you go, 10 seconds till that spawns up. I'll come through. But Weibo, I guess, can have bodies in this river right now, which is definitely very favorable.
The thing is, though, is that Xiaohu just took a reset, doesn't have TP. If LNG were to go straight for this objective right now, they could have themselves a much better time of it. Light just soaking up all of that poke because of the shielding coming out from the Ivern, as we can see him just kind of using that to his advantage. It's why the Ivern has become such a nuisance. And a nuisance is probably the best way to put it, because it just feels like things like the Jace and the Maokai poke just doesn't have the same level of effectiveness. As we can see now, the Shy taking a very unfavorable trade. My God, lost about a third of his health bar in the blink of an eye, and this is why the Jax has been banned. It's why we've seen it kind of constantly being prioritized as something to take away by the side of Weibo, because they don't have an answer for it.
No, they don't. He won't die. He's on double-digit HP. Herald's been dropped. Now secure a tower. Oh, Xiaohu's caught.
Xiaohu is caught, but he gets himself the ultimate. Not enough. He was going to be taken out. Now the Shy TP's into no man's land, and he needs to get the hell out of there as quick as he possibly can. And that means, again, Zika hasn't pulled the trigger. Zika is still pushing. Zika isn't even a part of these fights. It's just LNG getting advantages on their own.
Yeah, exactly. Dredgeline, maybe they can find something hung. There you go. Teleport finally pulled.
They're going to look to try and burn down Crisp as best they can. There's some decent damage onto Light, who has to try and flash away. Never mind, he cleanses away after getting himself the Arcane Shift. The health bars are low, but the hook goes wide from Crisp. These Mystic shots are doing some decent work, but it's not confirming anyone on the side of LNG, and Weibo have to defend their mid-turner. They cannot just, let that one fall alongside the Dragon.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to re-engage here through the river, but the Dragon's already gone, surely. Maybe Weiwei gets in last second. It's reset half.
Oh, it was close, but it was a great smite there coming in. Will be confirmed. That's their third Dragon now. It'll be 24 minutes, excuse me, when that respawns. To keep that one in our eyes ourselves, as we do not have a timer. But LNG, they get the kill, they get themselves the objective, and they get out scot-free.
Yeah, exactly. 24 minutes and 5 seconds is when that Dragon will spawn up. So keep that as a mental timer again. Apologies for the HUD. Things can be buggy every now and again. As get the replay, Xiaohu, does he just get caught in the middle of his dash out? He wants the ward of all things to die for. No, just doesn't get to move. Start to finish.
Literally can't even dash.
Yeah. Very, very unfortunate. Well, on the bright side, he holds onto his flash.
He didn't have it.
Oh, we didn't have it.
It was on cooldown, so
it was
he couldn't
just
flash
barely
if he
off
wanted
cooldown.
to.
Well, there you go. Has the flash back up now.
There you go. Positive.
Baron's
positive
up.
Gaming.
Positive. Exactly. Positive gaming. Baron's up. LNG seem very interested in baiting Weibo into another fight because they believe right now. Oh, wait. Weiwei's dead. Weiwei's dead.
When did Weiwei die? When did Weiwei die?
Oh!
I don't even remember this. And now they can turn back in. Wait, when did Weiwei die? Because, I mean, Chris
died in the replay.
But he died in the replay. But what happened? I mean, fair enough. That's exactly why LNG go for. Here we go. Oh, he just gets clipped. And he's dead. There's nothing he can do.
Aye. Yep. There you go. Teleport as well. Just to secure the kill. Just gets one shot. Poor Weiwei. Well, it only results in another pick. So it's not Baron losing, which is crucial. If Weibo can, stabilize, hit 2 items, specifically on Xiaohu, right? They need to get Xiaohu over that Leandri's line. Redemption should be coming through from Weiwei, because remember, the build paths are very, very cheap for Ivern. So second item is on its way. So he's on Spike now. Weibo can definitely get a lot more done than you would anticipate with some of the champions that they have. You just kind of worry about the damage department, perhaps, from, even though Light's on 2 items, like Ezreal is not a Xayah, it's not an Aphelios with those big pop-off burst moments. It's a lot of chip damage over time and ramping up with the Conqueror and the Triforce AD, so we'll need a little bit more to really see that damage be felt. For now, LNG retake control of this top side of the map, and it should just be complete darkness for Weibo right now. Taking a look at the minimap, there is nothing available. Just take a big pan up, and I'm telling you, League of Legends is a universal language, man. Observers quickly highlight for us that is the case. So, Weibo, what do you do? Because Dragon, again, remember, spawns 2 minutes away now. So LNG can wait for that Hex Soul, and force Weibo to fight for that, or they can look to start up a Baron, just because they know they can bring Weibo in, try and bait out a more favorable fight immediately right now.
Love this build adaptation from Scout as well. Serpent Fangs to deal with all the healing, or excuse me, the shielding that will be coming out from the Ivern, and it will do a significant portion of damage. That's the big thing. Does mean that he's not going to be as kind of terrifying with the Serelda's Grudge, which does end up kind of being a bit more of a power pick. Xiaohu doesn't know that anybody is around there. Just kind of seeing if he can find Hung. Just backing themselves away. And like you said, just pure darkness available. They're fighting tooth and nail with 3 members just to try and get a ward. And it's not even on the river. It's up on the ramp, which is now cleared.
Exactly. Now, there is one positive thing about having Ivern in a situation like this. You can send Daisy through to check vision, but you don't want to commit Daisy too heavily to the point where perhaps she gets killed off. You just want information. A lot of poke onto light.
Oh, 1 minute. We're going to have ourselves a tech soul for LNG. They're ahead by nearly 6,000 gold. They've got 3 items on their Jace. 4, 0, and 2 is Scout. They are feeling comfortable. It's not done just yet. Xiaohu, though.
Xiaohu. He's fine.
He's fine. And everyone's getting themselves all their summoners back. Flash will be back now for Wei. He's going to have that available for this next fight. It's a full plethora of options and abilities here for both these sides. It could come down to one last 5v5.
Yeah, but there's a couple of like big item discrepancies which I'm kind of concerned about. The Shy really wants that Gargoyle Stone Plate finished up, but I just don't know if he's anywhere near it. And Xiaohu, I think he's been sat on those components for a little while, so I hope that he's able to base, teleport, and then have it. There you go. So he's got 2 items, but he's still down a full item on Scout. It just means that, you know, he's at the very least got that completion in right now. Weibo don't have pressure anywhere. They've got to walk through some of the saplings. The Ivern shielding will definitely help alleviate some of that pain and pressure.
Here we go. Top lane will slow push in favor of LNG. Scout did not need to show himself there as he TPs back into this mid lane. Gonna throw out a couple of these things, but that is a lot of damage already being put in. You have to try and commit to this. Hong gonna throw down the Solar Flare, and they've got it. Soul confirmed. Now with the Nature's Grasp over the side of it, can Weibo get out? No! Sniped on the backside. There's another snipe as well. Both supports getting taken out. Light trying to see what he can do. He cleanses. He's gonna have to flash away if he's not too careful. Scout's just auto-attacking right now as Gala and Xiao, who have a little bit of a 1v1. The Shy tries to take Zika on a 1v1 to save his AD carry. Now Scout flashes back over on top of Xiaohu and takes him out. He's got the Dust Blade to keep resetting. And that is just LNG's fight all day, all night. They'll get the soul, they'll get the fight, and they'll turn for the worm.
The turn was beautiful, but Scout getting the Dust Blade proc at the end to stop all of the potential burst damage coming through from Weibo as they collapse onto him was even prettier. And now Baron will be secured by LNG as they find that ace, and Weibo, I wonder if they're out of it. We'll have to see if they can find one more fight maybe. Have time as turn finds so many members with that ultimate Tarzan does. Redemption, there's a little bit of damage. Snipe onto Crisp, so much damage. Hex Soul as well, slows everyone. I think it also applied Serpent, if I'm not mistaken. Snipe comes through onto Hung on the backside, but then all of this damage and poke from Zeka. Good shuffle to keep Tarzan off of Xiaohu, but then Gala ends up winning out, pushing back, and Shy dies off to Zeka. And then this is what I'm talking about, this Dustblade proc from Xiaohu, or from Scout onto Xiaohu. Just gives him that brief window where I think he dodged out on a Mystic Shot, which could have been the difference. For at the very least, another kill to be traded, and Weibo lose out heavily. LNG executing as well as they probably can. Now they've got the Baron with this Hextech Soul looking to snowball and break as many structures as they can.
By 25% of your health, that's it. Just shock blast to the face, nothing you can do. And I will say from Scout, like, he's had a pretty muted games 1, 2, and 3, to be perfectly honest. Great to see him stepping up here in game number 4, and even just right down to the last little thing, he waited till he had enough for a stopwatch in that last fight. He goes back, he picks it up, gets instant value out of it. Like, that is exactly what you want to be seeing here from your regular season MVP mid laner. That guy is just being you know, again, just kind of pushing LNG towards this potential game 5. 10,000 gold up. Hex Soul. They've Baron now pushing in, and they're still yet to find an answer for someone to deal with this Jax.
Exactly. LNG had the Jax taken away from them. I want to say all 3 games at the very least. I know it's been 2. And this time around, Jax comes out into the Cassante, and this has been a very successful answer. And I just wonder whether Weibo, I mean, it's an 11,000 gold deficit. I'm just trying to rack my brain on if there really is a realistic scenario where they can come back. I think you're kind of pretty much already on the fringe of it. Has to be those big, you know, 4 or 5-man shuffles from Xiaohu, and you hope the follow-up is clean, but here's the engage from Tarzan. It's going to force members back, and they secure the tower. And nothing can be done about it, Ashin.
No, I mean, look at the Shock Blast. They're just smashing into the back of the heads of everyone on Weibo, and there's just nothing they can do about it. Top lane gets broken open. Mid and bot still standing strong for the moment, but I mean, it's hard to see how Weibo come into it. And I think the big thing is that you're looking at that mid lane difference. Like, Xiaohu's been good, but he's not been good enough. You know, even now, Scout getting himself a GA and an Elixir of Wrath means he knows this next fight could literally be the end of it. He can't let Xiaohu scale into 3-4 items, so he has to end it in the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Exactly. Red Pot will do just that. Help him get across the line in AD. And I think we also, you know, you speak about mid lane difference this game. I think it has to be said. Zeka, at least like 1-to-1 for a majority of this series. He's had a little bit more impact felt throughout. So again, I feel like the Shy being put on so much Cassante duty. Obviously, he's by far and away most played champion. Give him something else. I feel like Weibo. It's just giving so much freedom as.
They're jumping onto the Ivern. If you get rid of that shielding, you don't really stand a hope in hell of dealing with all this poke, and that is exactly what they've done. Weiwei 0-4 on the Ivern. Not what you want to be seeing here on a must Burma ban pick. The redemption literally hits nobody. Nobody got peeled there by that redemption that came down from Weiwei, so that's a little bit unfortunate. And a minute and a half till this Elder Drake spawns. Weibo, you got to fight for this. You haven't got a choice anymore. You have to flip this.
Okay. Okay. Hear me out, Machine. All right. And I guess the entirety of Casual Stream, we huff, right? The Elder is the lost con for LNG. The fact that they have picked up 4 dragons now means that Weibo can very happily win the next fight. Here's what's gonna happen. Weiwei's gonna steal the Elder Dragon, okay? Gonna steal the Elder Dragon, and then they just win the fight. Yeah? You with me? This sounds pretty good, right?
It sounds great, but I want a game 5. So I actually think Weiwei goes in, does look like he's about to smite steal it. It resets, gains 1,000 HP,
okay.
and then he just dies, and they take it anyway on LNG, and that's the end of the game. Go to game 5.
All right.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Sounds like a good plan. Also, I put down 3-2 LNG for my predictions, so...
I put 3-2 Weibo. People think I'm a hater. I'm a Xiaohu stan, my boy.
Wow.
Like, I put 3-2 Weibo.
But in the ever-losing race to try and catch Mazel, this will be my opportunity to catch up, because I think he's got Weibo down today, if I recall correctly. Let me... No, he's got 3-2 as well. Okay, well, who cares? You know
we can see it looking, we can bring it all in. Also, I just realized the HUD is back, but finally, as I bring it in there, we come in now and make see what will happen. You have to fight this here as Weibo, but do you want to fight? Zika with the counter strike sets it all up. Scout goes invulnerable, and there's nothing you can do. Everybody's dead. Light is the last thing to fall, as everyone will be waiting for us to say it. We are going to Silver Scrapes. We are going to a game 5. And we are proving to see that everyone in this league wants it more than anything to make it to that top 4.
Zeka on the flank was like a tiger pouncing for his prey. 4-5-man Counter-Strike cleans up for LNG to sweep Weibo and bring us to Silver Scrapes. That one was probably the most one-sided of this series. And now Weibo have to bounce back after what was probably the most crushing defeat either one of these teams has taken in this series so far.
Yeah, this was the most definitive win of any of the games so far, and this is the kind of momentum